Hello and welcome back to another Improvement Season podcast. It is me, Pascal Steve, and on the other end is a person that is 1 year older by now because it was his birthday last weekend. Feel free, there it is. Feel free to actually then leave a congrats below or maybe even a pitiful comment as well, because we are getting older. We talk about it quite often here lately, right? Especially me. And yeah, Steve, how are you feeling? The typical question that always comes up when someone is getting older. How does it feel?
I'm now
old?
34. I don't know. 35 feels kind of like I'm still on the side closer to 30 than I am 40. I thought 30 sounded old, but then when I say 40, I'm like, wow, 40 feels really old. Like that feels like proper adult.
Don't even get me started. Katie and I, we are basically both in a midlife crisis, especially ever since one has pointed it out in the comments section, which is very much appreciated, by the way. Because before that, you never really thought about that, or you always thought 40 isn't that bad, right? But when you really put things in perspective, the time from, I don't know, 0 to maybe 20, you can't really say that this is living yet, simply because you have the obligation of kind of school, right? You are obliged to actually then visit school. Secondary, you are always kind of bound to kind of your parents as well. Some a little bit earlier than others. For example, I was actually leaving my household at the age of 16 already, whereas others are first moving out in the mid-20s. But before you're then starting to live, it's kind of like right around 20, right? And then you have the time up until maybe the pensioner years or so, right? And then it's the last third of your life where then maybe some health complications come up. You can't really travel that much anymore. Maybe also because health-related issues, but maybe also due to then not having enough money, right? This is a huge problem here, at least in Germany, kind of poverty when it comes to age-related situations. And then you realize that the life is actually pretty short of what you can deem living. And most of the time, people are then stuck in just work. So how much do you really live? That's the question, right? And that just kind of as you can tell, these are the philosophical questions that pop and go through my mind here over the past couple of months by now.
It's weird. It's like you aren't at all aware of your mortality or the brevity of life until, and I can see why people hit like a midlife crisis, because you start suddenly to become aware of that fact of like, I don't know, you may have even had some like people from school pass away and you've been to their funeral at that point, or like your parents have maybe passed away by the time you're midlife, and like it just all, your mortality becomes really aware, and maybe you've even gone through some sickness or whatever. You probably don't want to listen to, I've just started listening to this ebook, this audiobook. You may have listened to it, Pascal. I know a lot of the audience will have, because you know Dr. Peter Attia, right? Yeah, so Outlive is his like book.
I haven't listened to that one or read that one.
The Science and Art of Longevity, and he goes into it all, and I'm like, man, I feel like this is a book I wish I'd heard. Like, I feel like I'm hearing it at quite a good age, like mid-30s, but I wish I'd heard it like maybe even a decade sooner. I don't know. Not because it's really changing anything, but it just gives you perspective a little bit more of the things that you've mentioned here, where it's like, you need to live, but also you don't want to get into that. We've spoken about it before. I've forgotten the guy's name now, and it was to do with like dying with zero, that whole aspect. The guy that talked about that. Yeah, it's a hard one though. It's like, I guess anything in life, you could bring it back to bodybuilding with balance. It's like you want to really grow as much muscle as possible, be as competitive as possible, but also not lose like other aspects of life, like social life, friends, like prioritizing, I don't know, even work or whatever it is. You have to travel through this in whatever way seems to be most satisfactory to you, and how do you even identify that?
Totally. And I don't know if you ever will get to a point of full satisfaction, because there will always be things that you regret because it turned out to be the wrong decision. We can't always have the best outcome with everything, right? And we are always then wiser in hindsight, and especially also our preferences, our perspective on things, they do change. So it could very well be that when we're then 60 or 70, we think like, I wish I would have done X, Y, Z, but during that time, it was the right decision. It was the right feeling to then, I don't know, pursue now bodybuilding and really commit to it and dedicate your entire time to that. And then later on, you may very well regret it. But during that time, it's just because we are then forgetting how important it was during that time for us. And that's why I never really know, or I don't know whether we are ever going to get to a point where we are fully satisfied, especially not in a world where we are full of comparisons to what other people have, what we don't have, right? It is being kind of quite apparent on a daily basis. And that's why, I don't know, if it's already haunting us on a daily basis, due to then, especially also something like social media, how shall we ever then do it when we are becoming aware of our mortality, and then we know that our days are gone and we can't really change anything about it anymore?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I guess when I try and boil it down to something, I try and focus on, am I enjoying what I am doing now? Like, is it like, does it seem net good? Because if it isn't, change something about it, do something about it. But if it is, then don't kind of, it's like, I don't know, choosing your life partner, right? Oh, but the grass is always greener. Maybe there's someone who's even better, all of this. And it's a case of like, if you're with someone, you love them, it's going well, like maybe don't like rock the boat and just kind of go with that. Because if you keep searching for what could be more or what could be better, I guess it's similar. You could apply this to so many things. Like if you're with a coach, like a bodybuilding coach, and they take you to stage, you did really well, you enjoy working with them, you're growing well. Like if things are going really well and you have no reason to think that things could be better apart from just this thought of it could always be better, then maybe don't rock that boat, because you probably, I expect you might regret that decision. But yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah. As you can tell, it is mostly age related. To the listeners who are kind of 20 years old, they're just thinking like two old geezers now talking about or philosophing about life and all that kind of stuff. Can't they just talk a little bit more about bodybuilding and training and nutrition and all that kind of stuff? And this is what we are then going to focus on here this time around. So, Steve, I would like to know, how was then the birthday? What kind of, I saw it over on Instagram, was it kind of that you got some protein cookies? Have you been training during that time? What have you been up to over then the birthday period?
So I think I'd been talking over the last few weeks where I was like, yeah, I've stretched out this mesocycle quite a lot, but surprisingly holding performance, I've mostly repeat performance for like I haven't actually looked at my logbook. Some lifts have probably been at 0 RAR for like 4 weeks, where I've just been like, up a rep, down a rep, like basically maintaining performance on them, and it's just a grind. And eventually this fatigue has caught up to me where I was like, I'm going to have to back off at some point. And I knew I need my rest days, I needed to shift to Mondays because of just some life stuff where I need that Monday to be free, to prioritize that. And then on Sunday, I had Tom Hall, who competed at the UKDFBA MBW Classic. And so I knew I wouldn't be able to train on Sunday. And I was like, right, I'm pretty shattered. It was Friday. My birthday was Saturday. And I was like, man, I want to train on my birthday because, that's kind of tradition almost at this point. But I was just like, right, I'm going to take Saturday, Sunday, Monday off and hopefully feel refreshed enough today to be able to train. So I haven't trained yet, but I'll go in later today or after this basically and see how I get on. But I think I'll be in a good position to get back into things. So didn't train on my birthday, so just took it off. And yeah, didn't do too much, to be honest. It was just a kind of relaxed day. No protein cookies, but the cookie that you saw wasn't protein. It was just pure carbs and fat and tag-along protein. Nice. From this place called Creams in London. And
they looked very, very good.
It was very good. But I estimated it, and it was probably like 650 calories worth of cookie. But because it was a refeed day, I chose to have a refeed day that day. I normally do, for some reason, Friday and Sunday. I say for some reason because me and Charlotte do a takeaway normally on Friday. Sunday we normally go out to eat. but I knew Sunday I would be at the competition, so busy, and then Saturday we're planning to go out, but it didn't work out, so we ended up just getting another takeaway, and we just had Wagamama, and I was like, hey, if I get Wagamama, I can get the chicken ramen. It's like less than 600 calories, very low fat. I can then fit in one of these cookies, and hey, what, I need to eat these eventually, why the hell not? So I had one of those at home, and man, it was unreal. And actually I felt like I wouldn't choose to do that sort of thing if I was going to be starving all day, and like it would like make me stressed, and my sleep would be worse, and I'd have huge cravings. I'd only do it if I knew I could do it with all of that intact, and I could. Like I had the Wagamama meal, and then I had it afterwards, and I was like, I'm very satisfied, to the point of which actually I didn't even fancy my evening meal, which was another bowl of protein oats, which I did eat, of course, but I was like, I don't even need this. So that was quite nice. What did I get for my birthday? Oh, the most spectacular thing was the Ninja Creamy, which we're going to have to get you on board with it eventually, Pascal. I think you're going to like it because you're a big fan of the protein ice creams, right?
No, I wouldn't say that anymore.
Oh, you used to eat them regularly,
yeah,
right?
but first and foremost, they are quite expensive. Secondarily,
that's why you get the Ninja Creamy.
Let me finish, and maybe then you can chime in and correct me here, because the Ninja Creamy may be a different kind of beast. Simply because the other kind of brands, flavors, they always came with a lot of fiber as well. And so during the time, I was just accepting it. I was just like, oh yeah, I want to have ice cream, and that's why I'm going through with it, right? I'm accepting the cost of doing business, of having lower calories, but feeling them bloated afterwards, right? And those two things in combination are something that after a while, I've been thinking like, if I always feel worse at the end of the day, like very much discomfortly worse due to then the gassiness that is building up due to those ice cream and sugary alcohols that are in those protein ice creams, and they are quite expensive. Why should I even have it? Why not get something like, I don't know, a Ben & Jerry's, which is the same price for, yes, more calories, but it makes me actually feel much, much better. And then just have half of the pint, or even just like 100 grams or so. But back then I couldn't really do, or I could have done it, but it would have required me to be way more on point, way more concentrated, focused. And right now I could easily do it. And I even had this not that long ago, Steve. I had the Kit Kat ice cream pint, and I always kind of cut off 100 grams of it, and was all right. And that's kind of also going back to what it is that we've discussed, I think last week, with a Snickers bar. In the past, I would have rather than preferred getting a protein bar, which then also has the same effects as an ice cream, just not to the same extent. It's much more expensive than a normal Snickers bar. And the macros aren't that different, you know? And now I can rather than have a Snickers bar, and to be honest, in the past, people were always saying like, well, they justified it with, yeah, the protein bars, they aren't really that different to a normal Snickers bar, for example, but they are. Like, honestly,
especially some.
Yeah, they really, really are. Same goes with the ice cream. That's why a couple of years back, it has been such a long time ever since I had like a low calorie ice cream. So just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, I'm completely on the same page as you. I think I cut them out. It wasn't like a hard cut, but it was like I used to buy them semi-regularly because there's a period of time like 2019 or something, there were, all the rage, we're finally getting Halo tops and stuff like this. And it was like, oh, only the US had this. So I was like having quite a bit of it. But it's the same as you, where I get more satisfaction out of enjoying food, accepting maybe I'm a bit more hungry, but I prefer feeling hungry than like this bloated discomfort of just yuck. Like I'm completely with you on that. So on the same page, and then the expense is just ridiculous. It's especially because with a Ben & Jerry's, like you said, that might last 4 servings, but a Halo top, 1 to 2. So the price per consumption just doesn't make a ton of sense. But I believe it depends obviously what recipe you use. And I haven't done anything yet with it. It's still in the box. So I just haven't, I haven't got my head around a recipe that I want to do. But most of the recipes, from what I've seen, some people like to include like xanthan gum, but I'm going to avoid any high fiber kind of stuff like this, because like you said, it just causes me gastric discomfort and it's just not worth it. But you can do, people are just like, you can literally put like your freeze your protein shake essentially, and then blend it in this and it will turn it into like an ice cream type of thing. So, or that's actually cool. Some people literally put in like a tin of peaches in juice, freeze that, and then put it into the blender and it makes a peach sorbet. And it's just like, okay. So I'll have to see, I'll review it, I'll let you know. But at the moment, it's sounding very good. And of course, you can make like Ben and Jerry's versions if you want, which is going to be cheaper. And you can probably make it slightly more macro friendly.
Simply because, of course, it's summertime, right? And hence the likelihood that we are talking about ice cream is then elevated and increased at the same time. Katie just got those popsicle forms for then the freezer just here lately.
Yes.
And I was even telling her that I was never really the biggest fan of doing ice cream on your own at home. You really need to have somewhat of an ice cream machine to make it creamy so that it also stays creamy afterwards. Because every single time when you do something like, I don't know, an ice cream out of fruit, right? You blend it, mix it, and then put it into the freezer. It's kind of that ice crystallized form, which isn't really the same as ice cream. I want ice cream that is creamy, and if that thing is actually capable of creating that would be amazing, to be honest.
Yeah, I put it on my story about potentially looking to get one. I had like 20 plus people reach out to me being like, it's a game changer, it's amazing, do this recipe, blah blah blah.
This is even available in Germany. Ninja Creamy.
You probably get it on Amazon or something.
Yeah.
But I was just like, Mum, can you get me this for me and Charlotte for our joint, because Charlotte's birthday's very soon as well. I was like, can we get it as a joint present? Because then she can make loads of different vegan ice creams in it as well.
It is available here in Germany, Steve. It is, Ninja Creamy Ice Machine. Comes at the price. Should I reveal the price, or is it something where you feel uncomfortable?
From what I saw, it was like 160 quid or something. It was discounted.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
not too bad.
It's kind of the same here then. Very cool. Very cool. I should maybe look into that, because so Katie and I, we never really get each other presents anymore. The present come always in the form throughout the year of like, oh, we see something and maybe then the other person is thinking about it. And also we have family at home. For us, it's a little bit more important than to afford something like a proper holiday. So we rather than spend a little bit of extra money on that instead of giving us some materialistic goods for home. Thing is though, something like this would be a perfect present, such as for you, Steve. Like honestly, I think that this is a cool gadget to have at home.
Yeah.
For times like these.
So I'm excited to try it out. The thing you need is freezer space, because you have to like put the stuff in the pint and then freeze it overnight, and then you do it the next day.
Do you have it?
So,
do you have enough freezer space at home?
We just have to make room for it. So I just have
all of the frozen vegetables out of the window. It's now space for ice cream.
The thing is, in the freezer, all I need is like a big bag of frozen veg and like some frozen blueberries. I think that's all I really put in the freezer. Generally, that's all I feel like I need. The rest of it is just like, I don't know, just crap you accumulate over time for whatever reason. A lot of it's like some vegan stuff that Charlotte likes, because that's often frozen. But yeah, I'm excited to try it out and see how it goes. I'm sure there's people listening that are screaming like, you got to try this recipe, oh, it was really good. Or I think some people are even to the point of irritated by Ninja Creamy because so many people are talking about it.
I've never heard it before. I've seen it on your stories, to be honest. Never.
Okay.
And now that you've told me about it, I'm quite intrigued to actually then see for myself how the ice cream is actually turning out. Is it due to kind of the whisking of the air into the entire ice cream that then creates the creaminess? Is it kind of like protein fluff or so?
Yeah, whatever. It makes a huge amount of noise. Or like I've seen people using it. It's very noisy.
All right.
And so I forget what ice cream, what the method it has to go through to create it, make it ice cream. But there's like a process it has to go through to make it that way. I've forgotten what the word for it is. There's probably, again, people listening like, this is what it has to do. But you know Hannah and Harry, right? They have a Ninja Creamy, and Hannah's always like I've seen her post about it a few times, and Harry's
she
messaged me about it, and he said it's pretty good.
And Harry as well. So
yeah, again, I was like, this is either the worst time or the best time to get it, as I'm going deeper into contest prep, because it's something I'll get obsessed about, because I know I will, because you get obsessed about food. It's unfortunate because I'm even trying to avoid getting obsessed about food, but I can just feel it drawing me in, and I'm like, no, stop it. Like, my Instagram feed is already becoming a bit more food related, and I'm like, part of me likes this, but also maybe it shouldn't like this.
I can see that, yeah. No, but please report back to your experiences, because, yeah, once again, I am after you bringing that up, I'm very intrigued to hear the creaminess sensation, whether it does make a huge difference. Yeah, I'm just curious.
I am now trying to search what process. Oh no, this is not telling me what it has to go through. Anyway, so yeah, that was the probably most exciting present, I think. Otherwise, yeah, I just got some small bits and pieces, nothing crazy, and we didn't do anything crazy. And then Sunday, obviously, the UKDFBA, that was the first show of the season, really in the UK, I think, like the first big show, and it was a big show. I had to leave before it ended, but it was like going on. I didn't get home till like 8 p.m. or something, and I wasn't that far from rugby. It was like 2 hours door to door. So it was, and they still had like more than half the show to go when I left at like 5:30 or something.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a really big show, and dude, just the first timer doesn't do people enough credit because you can, I mean, it's obvious you can be a first timer or a novice, whatever, and still be incredible, right? You can just be hiding away and never have competed and been training for 10 to 15 years and be a genetic freak and come on stage. But there were people winning the overall there, and just like, they are pro caliber.
All right.
I saw the men's physique guy who won the overall, and I was like, you'd get a pro card immediately. Like, it's
crazy.
Unreal. So even to place top 5 in a first timer show is really, really good. And seeing even like teenagers with the amount of muscle mass some of these teenagers have, I'm just like, it's actually unbelievable. And it just reminds me so much where if you aren't in that position where you see that teenager who's got freaky amounts of muscle mass, like, don't stop, because I think it'd be so easy to just think, oh, what's the point if there's just people like that? It's like, hey, but that 10 years down the line, you could be dramatically different. They might not be that different. They might have already, like, you know, some people I think peak early. So yeah, it was good to see. It was well run, and Tom did his thing and looked great. Unfortunately, no placings for him, but it wasn't expected necessarily. Like, we never go in with expectations, of course, but just for him to have got to stage, I was so proud of him, because I always think of this. I have a few clients who are like GPs or doctors or nurses in healthcare doing what's it called, shift work, and like having to work overnight and everything like that. He's doing this and then getting sick as well over the last few months, like very sick, which kind of held us back. But yeah, he brought a very respectable package to stage, and yeah, it was really cool to see him on stage. It was great to be there. I was with Mike Chalice, and another client of mine came to watch it as well. So it was nice to be there as a little bit of a team, and it feels like ages since I've been to a show, but I guess it was just last year, but it's been a good amount of time.
When is the next time that you are supposed to actually do any kind of judging? Is it this year even?
Yeah, so we have a judges meeting this week for just, I think there's some updates to how the scoring is being done or collected or something. I don't think the judging criteria is changing at all. And then the first time is not this weekend, but I think it's like in 3 weeks, something like that. When this comes out, it might be 2 weeks, because I always forget that. So yeah, the WNBF first timers, that's where I'll be judging. So that'll be fun.
Very cool.
Be another manic day.
One thing that I just wanted to also elaborate on, and I'm happy that you brought it up, Steve, is that the package some people are bringing as even first timers, that is not the norm. That is not the standard. And you always or often hear about those crazy first timers or amateurs, simply because it is so incredible and extraordinary to see someone never competing, maybe being in their early 20s and just annihilating everyone. Like, I do remember last year, Benjamin Schuster, yes. Right? Completely annihilating everyone. And he is 23 years old, I think he was, right? And just I think completely wiping the floor with all of the other people. And this is not the norm, but you hear it because everyone is talking about than him, for example, you know. But this is, I just want to really put it out there. This is not the norm, and you should never really be put off by something like this if that's not what you can bring to the table. Because most of the time, and I think that you did even a post about it, Steve, first-time competitors do look different, right? They often lack the muscle mass, they often lack the shape, posing is not the greatest. But this is because you are a first-timer, and you are most likely not the outlier. No matter what it is, right? When has there ever been a time that you've started with something, whether it's a hobby, whether it's a sport, whether it's playing a game or so, where you have immediately been the very best and completely annihilating everyone else? Probably never happens. May it be academia, may it be, once again, a sport or so. Never really happens. It could very well be that you are starting further ahead than others because you have somewhat of a talent for it or so, or you have done something that carries over into the thing that you're now doing, but hardly ever will you be the very best. And that's why it baffles me so much when people are going in there into their first show with super high expectations, then they are not placing the way that they wanted to, and then they are super disappointed, disheartened, and never really compete again.
Yeah.
Just zoom out. Because everyone would very well be, if you were to ask them, like, do you think that you will be the very best starting at the football team just around the corner, the very first time that you are now playing football? Everyone would just be laughing and say, like, 100% not, you know? But apparently, I don't know what it is about bodybuilding. Many people go in with that mentality.
I think it's unfortunate. Let me try and... Yeah, let's say it this way. So online coaches share their best client results more often than best results, put it that way. Or unsuccessful results, some coaches may not even share it, where the client maybe even took the stage, but didn't look as good as their other clients, and they have enough successful clients to not worry about talking about it. So when people see that, they're like, oh, that coach only takes people to stage who are amazing. So that must be how everyone gets to stage. And also, when you see online, your social media feed is curated to be the best. It's to be the most exciting, compelling, the winners. You don't see the people that didn't place. You don't see the people that came. Maybe you see the person that comes fifth. But again, coaches aren't sharing that as often. Some will. And then people aren't seeing it because that's not what gets the likes, because it's not spectacular like these people that are winning. So I think people have this like false sense of thinking everyone goes and competes and wins. This must be what I do. So I see it as almost my duty as a coach to explain, like, hey, and this is why I really respect anyone who steps on stage, because you don't know the context behind how they got there. Not anyone. Like sometimes you see it. I don't know if you've seen some of these like IFBB shows where there's like no criteria, and then some guy just rocks up and he's not even got a tan. He's just like way overweight.
Yeah, it's your famous old story about that one dude showing up in jeans, just out of the streets, saw the sign for a bodybuilding show, and then just.
Well, at least this guy, he was in shape. But I mean, some people just don't even, they just come on stage and just have no idea. Yeah. So, but like, it's like the first time I did from the PCA show and I did a review and I was like, but you don't know. Yeah, I absolutely agree. If he was my client, I definitely would have wanted him leaner. I would have encouraged him to delay maybe to a later show, all of this. But you don't know if that was the only show he could do and he'd been really sick before, or he'd been obese before and got down there. You don't know the context behind what got him to stage completely. So I think it's just unfair to like harshly judge these individuals. Again, actually, social media is funny. You either see like some of the worst or you see the absolute best. Because so, I don't know if I'm on social media too much, but sometimes I'll see things and I'm like, I know exactly why this is getting lots of likes and comments and everything, because it's negative. It's either super negative or super positive. So then you miss the middle ground quite often. So yeah, it's just wild to me in that sense.
Yeah.
I have something else which we can move in a different direction unless you have any comments.
Yeah. Let's take a short break and then further extend upon that. Do you not see the progress you would like? Are you sick of writing your own programs? Or perhaps you need some accountability in order to stick with a plan? Then it's time to start working with us. We at Revive Stronger offer a truly personalized coaching service. You'll get more than just an email with some macros or random cookie cutter program. With Revive Stronger, you will be the center of our attention. You will receive your own fully individualized training protocol alongside a customized nutritional strategy. We created the coaching around your needs, wants, personal preferences, and your own unique lifestyle. Every single week, we delve into your program in order to make appropriate adjustments so that we get the most out of your time and the best possible outcome. We help both female and male athletes to seriously change their body composition by adding more muscle mass and decreasing fat tissue. No matter if you're a competitive bodybuilder or just want to look better, if you need help with your progress and taking your physique to the next level, our coaching is for you. It's time to make a change. Sign up today and let's revive stronger. So I don't really have anything more to add. I think that you brought up some very, very good points. To me, it's just once again always baffling that you would expect everyone would have that mentality going into or starting something. But there's something about physique sports, something about bodybuilding that warps the reality for most people, how they are then perceiving themselves. And maybe, and you and I disagree on this, but maybe it is the skill component, because I even said in the past that I don't think that bodybuilding requires a lot of skill, where you need to practice something extensively. However, something like, I don't know why I need to think about it. Maybe it's the Rubik's Cube in the background. Doing this, right? The mind-muscle connection of kind of solving the cube faster and faster. If you were to just see a video of someone solving a Rubik's Cube, you would immediately know that you couldn't pull this off at all without maybe years of practice or so, right? However, sometimes when it comes to or not just sometimes, often when it comes to bodybuilding, maybe it is because people are seeing themselves in a light that they've never seen themselves in and think that they are further ahead than they actually are, right? Because they've never really then in real life compared themselves to someone else. And this is kind of the same thing when it comes to also family members around you, already seeing you quite muscular and think like, man, he's the most muscular, he's the leanest guy that I've ever seen, when in reality, he pales in comparison to like proper athletes on stage. And I'm included in that, right? If I were to then get lean again, step on stage, and I would compete against someone like a pro, I would look ridiculous against someone like that, because I lack the muscle mass, I lack the structure, I lack probably then also the insane level of leanness. But if I see myself being pretty lean, I think like, holy shit, this is crazy, and other people would think the same thing. And this is why I think that those factors come into play and warp the reality and give a false sense of maybe security. And it often then sets the person up for I wouldn't really call it a disappointing time most of the time.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's funny. You can see people on social media and they can look completely different on stage. Like the stage is very revealing, not only because of the lighting, and you can't then hide on stage with filters or with Photoshop, but also because you're up against people. So you might look the part on your own. I think anyone can look really good on their own, but it's when you then get put upon other people who have strengths where you have weaknesses, and then you're like, oh, okay, so I'm not quite as lean as I thought I was, or this muscle group is not quite there, or my V-taper is not quite as good. I completely agree with you. I did just want to say it was interesting, just because we've discussed this before and I've discussed it on the podcast. There's this guy called at Muscle Building PT, Jordan. He is AJ Morris's client. And if anyone wants to look him up, I've just said his Instagram name, but he has like crazy glutes. Here's this like, the Ben Howard glutes. The Brett Freeman glutes, with kind of the Dirk type of glutes. Like there's a few people who can get this like just crazy lines in their rear, and he's been ready I don't know how many weeks out before the show, because I saw it on AJ's story where I was like, oh, he's a month out and he already had like these lines through his glutes, just like completely gnarly. And AJ was telling me that he got him and had seen previous photos where he got ready for a photo shoot and he had these glutes basically, from the sounds of things. It was just like, he just got photo shoot ready and had these massive lines in his glutes. And the guy, I think, works like shift work, and like, so his sleep and circadian rhythm and everything like this is like not ideal or optimal, quote unquote. Doesn't seem to stop him getting absolutely crazy shredded. So it's another one of those where it's like, there's these freaks out there that just have this ability to get this kind of crazy condition. So I just wanted to bring that up because it was another example of just like, it isn't someone, I think people see those people with those crazy glutes and everything. They're like, oh, they must like have been so optimal, like all of these variables in place for that to be achieved and done everything right to the T. It's like, nah, sometimes, and it's definitely not all genetics, but genetics really outweighs a lot of things that you could do right or wrong to kind of lead to a point. And it's like, for him, obviously he's worked incredibly hard to get that physique. He looked incredible. But it was just interesting to hear some of the, like when you talk to like a Dirk or some of these other guys who have really, really crazy glutes or that condition. And it's just like, oh, that's quite different how I feel at various times or how I approach things. So anyway, it was great to be there.
Totally. And this is also something that we have discussed in the past already, that I think that those people who are able to get to those very extreme levels of leanness, they are probably more tolerant to that type of stress than, let's say, the non-elite, right? And I don't mean it in a condescending way. It's just that the body isn't responding in such a negative way to that level of stress of being in that lean as the vast majority of people, because the vast majority of people will probably never get to that level of leanness without sacrificing a lot of tissue in the process.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's like their lower end intervention point for body fat is just lower than most people's. It was good to be at that show, and I guess I could give a bit of an update of where I'm at now with kind of my prep.
Yeah.
I don't know how many weeks out I am now. I'm avoiding even really thinking about it too much. I know it's less than 20 now. I think it's closer to like 18 or something before the UKDFBA, I think is the first? No, the WNBF is first, the Supernaturals. So that one's coming up. But I had a low weigh-in this Monday, which I expected because of Sunday was a low day and I was very active over the weekend. So my steps were a good 5,000 steps on average higher this weekend. And I could just feel it. And I probably had quite a bit of stress drop off from not training too. So some of that inflammation came down. But I was 183 pounds. And in fact, I think I dropped just below 183 pounds this morning. As I've said so many times, Cliff only takes Monday weigh-ins. But I still weigh in most days of the week because, I don't know, it's such a habit. I just have it there. So my food has stayed the same, which is nice. I can say that. But
I was just about to say, yeah.
When it's kind of, I want to stay out of my own head, because I just know when I dip to the 180s and below, that's when I'm in, we talk about lower intervention points, that's when I know I'm like, stuff starts getting hard. But I love how smooth it's been to this point. And to be still eating like close to 3,000 calories a day and have got down to now like 10 pounds above stage weight, it's pretty cool. And yeah, in some ways I'm waiting for not shit to hit the fan as such, but stuff to get considerably tougher, because so far, so good. The hardest things have been outside of the gym and outside of training and nutrition. It's been life stuff, and hopefully that stuff's going to abate a little bit over the next months. And so then this can take over. But I'm excited because I also didn't pose I posed with actually an WNBF pro on Friday. He came and trained with me. Yeah, man. His structure is really good. He has obviously clearly tons of muscle. He hasn't even been training that long. I think he started training at like 2018 or something.
This once again shows just the point about genetics. Because his waist to shoulder ratio, the way that the lats flared out, right? From a sheer muscle mass perspective, I think that you were on par. But the shape was just so incredibly different. And I think it was a good comparison, though, to then see how different the shape can be and what this does to the outside viewer, i.e. then probably the judge as well.
Yeah, It just reminds me of how much I need that front relaxed. I need to hit it so well, and hope my waist just continues to cinch in more and that my quads, I've made the progress on those that I needed to in terms of muscularity so that they just look crazy. And I'm excited to pose this week, in fact, because I've hit a new low and I haven't taken any formal posing updates in this lighting. And I think I'm getting to the point where every like couple of pounds really counts. You'll see it in my physique more and more as my next updates come. But yeah, it was good to pose next to him, though, to be like, I mean, on some of the poses, I more than held my own. I would say I took some of the poses from him, which I think is encouraging. But it's just knowing that I hold and I don't sacrifice too much on the ones that I lose on. But yeah, as soon as I saw him in person, you have this with some people, just so broad. I was just like, dude, you're so wide. He was just wearing an oversized t-shirt. I was like, fucking hell, you're so wide.
I had it with Alexander Krum from Das Gym. When we've trained there, I saw some for the very first time, and he was much, much broader than I anticipated. Much broader. It was also peak gaining phase during that time. But just by that, I was not surprised at all then that he is a pro as well. Yeah.
It was funny. You see it with people where there's just that look that's very aesthetic, where when someone just stands straight on and their shoulders are much wider than their waist, so that they've got a big gap between their waist and their arms. And so you can kind of see their lats coming out as well. Whereas when I stand straight on, my arms are basically right by my waist. So it's like there's no gap there. It's just like if I just could shove my waist in, it would just... Actually, you might have seen it. I have to send you it if you haven't seen it. But people may have seen... Nick Walker, of course, is known for being just an absolute freak. But he's also known for not having the slimmest of waists and having a bit of a quote-unquote bubble gut. There's been someone who's like photoshopped it so that it's Nick Walker with a small waist. And it's just absurd. Like the difference. He looks unreal. Like he looks like he'd be Mr. Olympia. He'd take it all because he's got his freaky muscle mass, but with this very aesthetic, just cinched in waist. And it's just, when I saw it, I was just like, yeah, that's what I need.
Yeah.
In addition, this weekend as well, it just again made it so abundantly obvious how important posing is, because my judge's eye, inevitably when I look at these, when I see people compete now, I just end up judging all of them from like a strict WNBF judging perspective. And in fact, it was cool. I got quite a lot of the lineups right in terms of the top 5. And
I mean, you can always use this as a practicing thing as
exactly.
well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps with coaching, of course, and for my own competitive endeavors. But just being able to pose well for your physique, it makes you stand out immediately. If you're not up there posing well, it's so easy to get glazed over and you just get lost. Whereas if people are just hitting poses well, it doesn't matter if they've got a great physique or not necessarily. If they hit it well, you're immediately seeing them because you're like, that person's taking it seriously. And I don't know what it is. It's just subconsciously you get drawn to those physiques. So it just, again, was another reminder of how important it is to hit those poses well and turn on immediately as you come on stage. So yeah, it's all stuff that I'm going to take and carry forward.
No, absolutely. And I think that you are very well prepared for this season, right? And just also the posing, just to go back, that you've been posing with that pro, right? I think it's a good preparement for you. And also, so how do you look against someone who's a pro, because that is your ambition to turn pro. Can I stand a chance? Do I hit some poses where I take him, for example, And I think it's good. It's good for you also from a confidence perspective, that you are not running into the risk of being delusional, for example, thinking, all right, yeah, I think I have what it takes. And then, I don't know, some pros turn up and you're getting completely annihilated, because that has always been the case. And this was, I think, the confirmation, maybe even what you've needed to then also move forward in a more strengthened fashion. I don't know. How do you feel about this, Steve?
If I'm honest, no. As soon as we hit the front relaxed, I immediately saw my glaring weaknesses come out, and I was like, fucking hell, Steve, you look like dog shit next to his. I'm just being honest. That's exactly what I thought. Now on other shots, like even like my front lat spread, where he is a very dominant front lat spread, I was like, I hold my own. Like, I don't win it, I don't take it, that's for sure, but I hold my own. But yeah, front relaxed, I was just like, Steve, just all your glaring weaknesses are showing, because it's a very good shot for him. So yeah, it didn't really move the needle either way, really. It just kind of, it's humbling to get put into that position, I think.
And in the end, does it really change anything? No, right? I mean, you continue what it is that you're doing already. So.
And I was going to say, is there any big social media news on your end that you saw?
No. I was just reminded about how the general population is actually then so uneducated and unaware about nutrition. Because do you remember the time when I was actually with my family in the winter holidays, and then we were traveling by train? The train was fully packed, and I was actually seated by, I think these two were Australians, and it was an older dude, I think that they were pensioners already. And we had some great conversation because they were also quite impressed with the English skills, and because of that, we were just like chit-chatting about things, right? And when the thing about nutrition and health came up, the old dude once again said, like, okay, I'm avoiding carbs, I'm avoiding sugar because this is clearly the classic, And the thing is, funny enough, I just got reminded about this, Steve, here on the weekend, because I visited the gym, and there's this older dude as well, and he's quite still fit and in shape for his age. I think that he must be somewhere in his 60s, and he looks still good bicep, good calves, the things that you are seeing in the gym at least. So he is clearly fit, and he clearly does something. But it wasn't the first time that we actually had a conversation, because he came up to me, the doors were still locked, and then we just started chit-chatting, and he said, like, hey, I see you often around here. And then the conversation just started, and then at the tail end of it, when we already were on our way to the locker room, he then talked about what he's doing for nutrition, and the same thing came up. The exact same thing came up. And I'm not even commenting on that anymore, right? Because I'm not trying to convince someone else to change their nutritional habits, and especially in a short period of time. I'm thinking like, what difference does it make, right? If I then say and come across as the know-it-all, say like, hey, maybe it's not the way that you think it is. But what I was reminded about is that those things are so ingrained in our society that many, many people believe, all right, one of the macronutrients or a specific diet is the culprit for a negative health outcome or such, right? When in reality, it's mostly about, as we know, eat properly, right? Whatever this means. Of course, this is a broad term. Do some activity, have stress management in check, and all that kind of stuff, right? But this isn't the sexy thing people talk about. It has to be something. It has to be a devilish thing there, right? That I can cut out and really pinpoint towards that this is the reason why I'm now feeling better and all that kind of stuff. It just baffles me that we're so far behind when it comes to certain educational kind of things. And that is not just in regards to nutrition, but of course we are trying mostly to focus on nutrition and training. But this is then also the case with other factors, such as, I don't know, money is a good example as well, politics and all that kind of stuff, But also there, same old thing, where I was just like, I was even walking in front of him and I was just rolling my eyes without saying something.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I brought her up on the podcast with Mike, Glucose Goddess. And it's just seeing accounts like that and Eddie Abu who have just exploded on social media, because like actually fake news and incorrect information seems to spread more wildfire than correct information. I don't know why. And it comes back to, I think, the kind of sugar and carbs. It's insulin, isn't it? And that's what everyone wants to just blame stuff on insulin. It's just fundamentally
that's exactly
not
what he said
understanding.
there as well.
Yeah.
I'm avoiding the sugars and the carbs because it makes my insulin spike. All right. Yeah.
Don't tell him how much protein spikes your insulin.
That's the thing, right? And the thing is, I don't blame him for not knowing it, right? Because there are many, many things and many topics where I'm clueless and also pretty much unaware and naive about, where then when someone else would correct me on my take, then I would probably also then be like, shit, yeah, no, that makes actually sense, because I never really have taken the time to critically think about it. But of course, it is my field of expertise, where it's then just, it kind of stings, where it's like when someone else is talking with such an authoritative manner, in such an authoritative manner, I'm just like, oh, you know that meme about kind of, are you sure? You sure about that? You sure about that? That's what it feels like inside of me. And once again, I don't mean it in a condescending manner. I don't blame him for not knowing, but then talking so strongly about that is often what I have an issue with.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I kind of hoped that the hype behind Ozempic and those, I don't want to say it actually, I forget what they act on, but anyway, they essentially lead to you having less of an appetite.
GLP-1 or so?
GLP-1 is what I was going to say. Yeah, I was like, I don't want to get it wrong. But they essentially lead to you eating less. And I was hoping that would be like, and people see the results that this drug is producing, and they realize, like, it's not the drug specifically, it's that the drug is leading to this and its energy balance. And so, like, paste that along to every other diet where you're restricting something, and the outcome is you're eating less than you're burning, so you lose weight. But yeah, it doesn't seem to have done the job. And then you'll get the people who are on the insulin hypothesis side of that's what's causing kind of the weight gain, telling you that, I don't know, it's big pharma that are just trying to get you to buy this drug and whatever it is. It's like, oh, God damn it.
And
of
to
course.
be fair though, Steve, we are in a field where it's not really as bad, right? I think that there are other sectors out there where if you were to be kind of an expert scientist and researcher in a specific field, the general population doesn't believe you, but more so kind of, I don't know, The Sun, for example, when they are writing about specific things, or other kind of gossipy kind of newspapers or magazines. I think that is then much, much more frustrating, especially when the just general population has a very strong view on a specific thing that is way too complex to just like for the average human being to understand. If you're then the expert trying to educate, trying then to change maybe things, I think then it's becoming quite frustrating.
Yeah, the scarier thing is that it's one thing Eddie Abou doing it, who doesn't have, from my understanding, any high-level formal education in nutrition, but it's then you get someone like, I think, the Glucose Goddess, she's like a PhD in this, and it's like when you get PhDs who have that doctor name on it in that specific field, but they still somehow seem to get it wrong, it doesn't feel right for me to say they're wrong, if you know what I mean, because it's like, who am I? I haven't got a doctorate in that field, but we know from other experts who have counter opinions, and then through our own practice and reading of the literature and understanding that we're right, or maybe we're the ones that are wrong. But
could very well be. On many instances, it can.
We're in our own
well
echo
be.
chamber.
Yeah, no,
Imagine.
absolutely.
I could have got
really
shredded.
Want to. What?
If I ate, I just could have got bodybuilding shredded if I just ate keto, and it doesn't matter how many calories I eat.
Yeah. I mean, we could open up a whole nother can of worms here when it comes to why it could very well be that we are wrong, and what arguments we are, or what we base our arguments on, and all that kind of stuff, you know. But I think that this is just then us rambling even more than we already used to. So I would like to avoid that.
Yes, definitely. I have one thing. It's not anime related. It's a new show. It's the, what's the one you watch? The Bachelorette or The Bachelor, those ones. But it's called, what the hell is it called? Love Triangle? It's Love Triangle Australia. It's on Channel 4. And it's basically, they've taken like all the bits of drama from all these other love shows or whatever they are, and just put it all into one. So there's no like, there's no narrator, there's no like experts that come in and try and help couples. It's all just drama. That's something me and Charlotte have been watching, and we kind of almost finished it actually over the weekend.
Triangle. I would definitely keep my eye out on for that.
Do you want to know the concept?
I mean, I would
Briefly.
very much. assume that it's maybe a ex-partners. No.
So basically, you're an individual, you're texting two others over the course of like 3 days, and then you've got to pick one of them who you want to be with, because you're picking them not based off their looks or anything like that. It's how they text and their personality apparently through that. And then you can also call them, I think, if you want to. Then you pick one and you go on a date, and then you decide and then they move in together and they're like in a relationship. But then the one that you were texting before, you have a date with them. And then they come and live with you. And then at the end of 6 weeks, you have to pick if you're going to go single, that one or the other one.
The thing is, Steve, we are laughing about it. We watch those things for entertainment, but those formats and the concept behind it is so morally and ethically questionable all of the time, right? Like, honestly, we are watching right now something with ex-partners where they are then as couples, not couples in the sense that they are together again, but they are a pairing in then a huge mansion with other ex-partners as well. And they are then needing to do some undergo challenges and then vote each other out. And there are people inside those buildings where you think, man, please never give that person any kind of airtime anymore, because that person is awful. And him or her getting more attention is just the worst that you can do. And yet, millions of people watch it. You watch it yourself for entertainment purposes, and yet you find it very questionable in many, many regards, right? And there are plenty of formats that we are watching, trash TV formats, where you can wholeheartedly say, like, this isn't good for humanity. This is the worst for humanity, actually. And yet we're watching it, you know?
Have you seen The Ultimatum?
Never heard about this.
So this one is basically, you're in a couple and you give them an ultimatum. You either marry me or we depart. And you have like 6 couples that come together. And what you do is you split up and you date one of the other couples. So one of the other partners in the couple. And you live together for like a month or something. Man, and some of these people have been in relationships for like 5 years with their other partner or 10 years. And they sleep with the other person that is meant to get married with this other individual.
The thing is, though, I don't know how it is in the UK, but in Germany at least, it's always the same people in different formats, right? And it has become their kind of occupation and work. And that's why most of the time you already know that the relationships that they are getting into will never really hold. That it's not really about love and all the kind of stuff, you know? So in that sense, it is then for really pure entertainment. The problem that I have, though, and I know that I'm a little bit of a hypocrite because we are watching it for entertainment purposes as well, but I wouldn't really care if it's not around, right? But now that it's there, it doesn't really make a difference whether we watch it or not. It will still be there and people will still watch it, right? And maybe I'm part of the problem because I'm justifying
defeatist attitude.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, that's the thing. But the thing is, I very much question what they are doing, and that younger individuals can watch it as well and see this maybe as a role model and something aspiring to, which I find very wrong. At the same time, though, those people who are partaking in the format, they are often as well kind of in their early 20s. And then I like to watch it and I can justify them doing something like this because they are still so young. Let them do that shitty thing, you know? There's nothing to regret about. They are young, yet they can get away with it. However, there are different formats, trash TV formats, where then you have like those very broken creatures, 50, 60 years old. They still need to do that kind of shit. And this is something that I can't watch because I like to watch kind of idiotic things, but this is just too low. Right? Because I find it very sad then that they still need to go out there and then act accordingly, because it could be basically one of my parents being in that format at that age. How desperate do you need to be in order then to partake in these kind of things? And I feel sorry for them, and that's why I can't really watch it. For the younger ones, man, do that shit. That's all right.
To be fair, it is mostly younger people, isn't it? But I guess, I always thought, when I watch like Love Island or whatever, I'm like put myself in their shoes. And now talking about age, circling it back, I'm like, I would be too old to go on this show.
Yeah.
Officially way too old.
I even said to Katie lately, I would love to, in an alternate universe, to actually be one of the participants, just to see what it's like, just to see how I would have been and reacted and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm like, what would I do in that situation? How would I blow up on social media and do really well? Would people hate me? Would I get loads of shit? Would I just get booted out really quickly or whatever it is? Like, it's an interesting thought, but yeah, it's good. This is why you switch off to it, and it's nice. It's perfect before bed, you know?
That's the thing. I can sleep like a baby after watching this.
For sure. Nice. We pretty much got to the end of the hour now. So I don't think I have anything else.
No.
Nothing comes to mind.
Neither do I.
So guys,
go ahead,
wrap up. Thank you very much for listening. As always, I have no word for you this week, but we appreciate all the comments and the questions and the feedback. They're always appreciated. Yeah. I've been trying to come back to them. I know I'm sometimes a bit slow, but I think like you said to that other one, we see them because they come through on email. So we definitely see the comments. So I appreciate it, and appreciate that people are tuning in regularly. Actually, I had a few people comment to me recently over on Instagram being like, they do enjoy our discussions and chats. And I think a surprising number of our clients also listen that maybe we're not always made aware of, those silent listeners.
On another note, thank you very much for always rating the podcast over on, for example, Spotify. I was just accidentally seeing the rating here today in the morning, and it was around 691 ratings, which is incredible. I wasn't even aware that so many people have voted already over on Spotify. And if you haven't done so already and you're listening to the podcast over there, feel free to leave a rating there for both the Improvement Season podcast and the Revive Stronger podcast. That's always appreciated.
Was that rating for specifically the Improvement Season?
No, it was for the Revive Stronger podcast. I think that we
need to get this one up.
Minus 10 or so.
They just talk about trash TV.
Animes,
guys,
tattoo, trash TV, and midlife crises.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Losing weight fast while maintaining muscle mass. Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? It isn't though. It's reality, and we know how to do it, and we will help you achieve this. The Minicut Movement is an 8-week fat loss program to make you lose a huge chunk of fat while maintaining muscle mass at the same time. We will support you from the beginning to the end so that you see the results you would like to and come out of it much stronger. You'll receive a fully automated spreadsheet that is based on your nutritional needs. You can choose between 6 different male and female training templates. Over 30 videos will guide you through each and every single step of the Minicut so that you're getting the most out of your journey and that you always know what to do. But the best thing is that you can start whenever you want. The Minicut Movement is open 24/7. So if you want to learn more or you're ready to sign up, hit the link in the description below. So let's revive stronger together.